So let's talk about good debt versus bad debt and how to manage and pay what you owe. By the end of this episode, you know exactly how to spot bad debt, and we'll show you how to pay it off even faster, even if you're feeling stuck right now. Plus, I'm going to share the biggest mistake we made while paying off our debt so you can skip the pain of having to go through that. So let's jump right into good debt. Good debt builds wealth or income. So an example would be mortgages or business loans, and it's used for appreciating or income generating assets. That's really important to remember, because if you buy a house and you have a mortgage on it, over time that house will appreciate. If you were to buy a rental property on, that has a business mortgage, it will produce income on a monthly basis, as well as appreciate over time. For business loans, if you were to, let's say you're going to start a lawn care company, or you have a small lawn care company now, and right now you're mowing lawns that you can just kind of like push your mower to, or you can drive your, let's say you have a rider, you drive your rider to. Okay, but you want to take out a $10,000 business loan. Now you can get a trailer and some, maybe some better equipment, some weed eaters, just things like that. Now you can expand your range and produce more income from that business loan. So that would be considered good debt. Again, very, very important to remember. It is appreciating, or it used for appreciating or income generating assets. All right, so let's talk about bad debt. Bad debt loses value and does not generate income. These would be credit cards, payday loans, luxury items, car loans. Car loans are a big one. Basically, everybody has a car loan. They're usually high interest rate, and they depreciate in value. And that's a big one, is when you look at good debt, those items like a mortgage or businesses are typically appreciating in value, which means they're gaining a monetary value over time. But when you look at something like a car, cars depreciate over time, meaning that, you paid $50,000 for it when you bought it. Now, when you sell it 3 years later, it's worth $35,000, $30,000, whatever it is. So it's losing money. So that's an example of bad debt. Debt is a tool. It can build or destroy you depending on how you use it. So if you're gonna, I want to buy a G-Wagon, or I want to buy the Tesla Model Plaid or whatever, and you take out a $100,000 car loan. If versus on the other side of the spectrum, where you take out good debt and you buy a $100,000 rental property, which I know this is tough in the example because you got to be like in the Midwest to do this for those numbers to work. But you get what I'm saying there. Something that makes you money versus something that you have to pay for and loses you money. Yeah, just something to think about. Okay, so there's two main ways to pay off debt. It's going to be either the Snowball method or the Avalanche method. If you followed any Dave Ramsey advice ever, he's going to be talking about the Snowball method. We are also going to talk about the Avalanche method in this video because I think there's some good financial principles that we need to at least consider. But we'll talk about both of them. You can see what's right for you and your family, and we can go from there. All right, so for the Snowball method, we are going to list the debts from smallest to largest. We're going to pay off the smallest debt first for the quick wins. And this is great for emotional momentum. This is what we did when we paid off our debt. It does work. It really does work. And it's really good mentally being like, oh, this debt's been knocked off and this debt's been knocked off. When I say knocked off, I mean paid off. So that's really where this one shines. It snowballs. It snowballs. Your wins snowball and they get bigger and bigger. So this one's cool. This one's cool. All right, let's talk about the Avalanche because the Avalanche is also good. So list debts from highest to lowest interest rate. So the last one, the debt snowball, here I'll switch back to that slide, was smallest to largest balance. And this one is list debts from highest to lowest interest rate. So pay off the highest interest rate first, and then it saves the most money over time because you're paying off the highest interest rate. So therefore you're paying more interest. So you want to focus on that one first. So it has nothing to do with the account balances or anything like that. It's strictly just the interest rate. Snowball versus Avalanche. The Snowball is emotional payoff, builds momentum. As you can see, I learned very well bullet pointed and kind of in this style. So hopefully you're learning something well. If you're liking this video so far, make sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. The Avalanche is the logical approach, saves more money. Financially, the Avalanche makes more sense, but it's not always about finances. It's also about the emotional. Like I said, we did the Snowball. Choose which one works best for you. Either one's fine. As long as this debt gets taken care of and gets cleaned up and you're able to pay it off and live debt free, doesn't matter which one you choose. Just pick one and do it. I touched on this a little bit before. Our payoff journey was we chose the debt Snowball. We wanted to have that emotional fulfillment and feel like we're being able to check things off a list. I enjoy checking things off a list, and that was just kind of another task to be completed. And so that's what we chose. And if I was to do it again, that's the way that I would go again, just for me and my family. That's what we wanted to do. But I do think that there are a lot of people that do the Avalanche, and they're, based on numbers, there is a lot of validity to it. Our biggest debt mistake there is we focused on debt and skipped building emergency fund. When we were first starting out, we were just trying to pay off debt, trying to stay afloat. And we skipped the emergency fund. It caused us setbacks when expenses came up. Thankfully, there was nothing too big. But looking back, always hindsight's 2020. Looking back, I think that it would have been better to focus on having a month of emergency fund before we really started focusing on paying off debt. That way, if something came up, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. This is what I do differently if we were to start over again. We'd build a small emergency fund first, 1 month's worth of expenses, not income, but expenses. So 1 month versus of mortgage, car payment, food, just all the normal expenses that you would have. I'd want 1 month of that covered. Not necessarily, in my thinking, is not necessarily specifically for an emergency, but for, if you lose a job that becomes an emergency, then you've got a 1 month leeway to hey, at least I know how I'm gonna pay my mortgage this month. I'd stick to one strategy and stay consistent. So whatever you pick, just stay with it, and then avoid new debt while paying down old debt. This was something that we did after we paid off all of our debt. We were totally debt free. We decided to go buy Rachel a new car. Rachel's, if this is your first time tuning in, Rachel's my wife. We bought her a car, and then we bought a house, and then we bought a motorcycle, which the motorcycle was okay because we paid cash for. But then we bought me another car, a sports car. So we went from being totally debt free to in 1 year's time buying 2 cars, a motorcycle, and a house. Not exactly all on payment plans. Every single one of them was payment plans, except for the motorcycle. So not exactly wise. All right, so let's hit a episode recap. We covered good versus bad debt, the Snowball versus the Avalanche method. Both of those videos, there are some great videos on YouTube that explain the debt snowball and the debt avalanche in its entirety. I would definitely go and check those out. Our biggest mistake and what we learned. So after you get debt free, don't take on more debt. That was our big mistake, and that was not so wise. Make sure you subscribe to Financially Speaking with Greg and Rachel. Normally, this is a husband and wife podcast, but right now I'm running solo, so hopefully you enjoyed the different style of content, a little more bullet pointed, a little more quicker. Obviously, no back and forth conversation because it's just me, and that would be weird if I was talking to myself. But yeah, next episode, we're going to be talking about creating a financial roadmap. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. This is going to be a riveting episode. And remember, progress over perfection. Little steps every single day is going to get you to that debt-free and financial freedom journey. It doesn't all have to happen at once. Just small steps, small progress every single day. But anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks.